is to find the coordinates of the points along the unit circle. And remember, the reason we call it the unit circle is the radius is 1 unit. So it's 1 that way, 1 that way, 1 that way, 1 that way. If I draw that, how long is that? 1, right? All the radii are 1. So that's why it's called the unit circle. And it's on the coordinate plane, so all of these points around here have x's and y's, have coordinates. All right, so what we're going to do to find this angle, right? Like if I just drew it without the circle, but that angle would be the 45-degree angle, right? Okay, so it just so happens it's the 45-degree angle on the unit circle. Okay, so what we're going to do to find that is we're going to review quickly the 45, 45, 90 triangle. So what's the hypotenuse of a 45, 45, 90? X squared root of 2. Good job. And what are the legs? X's, right? X and X. Okay? All right, so I'm going to draw a 45, 45, 90 triangle in my circle, right? And if this is a 45-degree angle, then where it intersects the circle, that's the point I'm looking for. Okay? And we need to find lengths. I need to know at least one side. So I'm going to look at this one. What do I know about that one? It's 1 because it's a radius, isn't it? And is it the hypotenuse or a leg? Hypotenuse. So the hypotenuse is 1. All right? Now I would like to know the lengths of the legs. So I go over here and I said, okay, the hypotenuse is supposed to be x squared root of 2. And I know that that side in this triangle is equal to 1. So now I just have to solve for x, and that'll tell me what the 2 legs are. Everybody with me so far? Yeah? Okay, it's a radius, right? It's from the origin out to the edge of the circle. So how do I solve for x here? Awesome. Okay, so those cancel, and I get x equals 1 over the square root of 2. Only, do you remember what's wrong with that? Yeah, you can't have the square root on the bottom of the fraction. So to get rid of it, I'm going to multiply by square root of 2 over square root of 2, which is really equal to what? 1. So it doesn't change the fraction. All right, and square root of 2 times square root of 2 is square root of 4, and the square root of 4 is 2. So the bottom becomes 2, and then 1 times square root of 2 is just square root of 2. So x is equal to square root of 2 over 2. So is this one, right? Okay. Everybody with me so far? Yes? Okay. All right. So here's a leg and here's a leg. So this leg is square root of 2 over 2. And this leg is square root of 2 over 2. Now, think about this ordered pair. Isn't that point this far over, right? And it's this far up. So this far over is where it ends up on the x-axis. So the x-coordinate is square root of 2 over 2. And up this way is where it is on the y-axis. So again, square root of 2 over 2. So the coordinates are square root of 2 over 2, square root of 2 over 2. Now, some of you might have already be making some connections with trig, and that's why you're going to study it, because it has a lot of implications for trigonometry. But we're not, like I said, we're just getting our toe wet this year. We're not really getting full blown into all this. You'll do that in pre-calc. All right. So now, like I said, we're combining what we know about 45, 45, 90 triangles and reference angles. So let's draw the 4 reference angles. How far is this from 0? 45. So I'm going to draw my other 45-degree angles, I'm also going to make those into triangles. And what are the lengths of the legs going to be for those? Same thing, right? Square root of 2 over 2. All right, so let's, before we start though, let's find the measures, because remember the steps. You find the distance from horizontal, you find the 4 reference angles, and then you find their measure from standard position. So we did 45 to there, and then to this one is how much? 45 short of 180. 135. So this is 135 degrees. Okay? And from standard position to there is 180 plus 45, which is 225. And then standard position to there would be 45 short of 360, which is 315. Okay? All right, so now that we have their degrees, let's figure out what their coordinates are. Okay? So how far over did we go? Yeah, square root of 2 over 2, but since we're going that way on the x-axis, it's negative. So that's negative square root of 2 over 2. And this one is also square root of 2 over 2. Is it negative? Because we're going from here to here, that's in the positive direction. So my x is going to be negative square root of 2 over 2, and my y is going to be positive square root of 2 over 2. All right? And then this one is also going to be square root of 2 over 2, right? But since we're going from here down to here, it's negative. So my coordinates for that point are going to be negative square root of 2 over 2, negative square root of 2 over 2. Right? Okay? Same thing over here. This is also square root of 2 over 2. So we're going over, is it positive or negative? And then negative. So this one's going to be positive x, but negative y. Okay? Yes? No? Does that make sense? Okay. I started on that one even though it was on the back because the legs are both the same, so it's a little bit easier. The 30, 60, 90s aren't harder. They're just, the legs aren't the same length, so it just makes it a little more complicated. But we're going to do the same thing. Let's name the sides of the 30, 60, 90 triangle. What's the hypotenuse? 2x. Good. What's the side across from 30? X. And the side across from 60? X squared of 3. Good. Okay? All right. What length here do we know? The hypotenuse, which is 1. Now, one thing we have trouble with sometimes with people thinking this angle here is not 30. Okay? That is how far open this angle is. So that 30 is here. Even though it's labeled there, it's where 30 is on the circle. Does that make sense? So this is not the 30-degree angle. This one is, because that 30 degrees there is how far open it is. Okay? Does that make sense to everyone? Because that seems to be something that people mix up a little bit. Okay, so we know that 2x should be my hypotenuse. In this case, my hypotenuse is 1. So I still want to know what x is. So what's x? How would I find it? All right, divide by 2. So those cancel, and I get x is equal to 1/2. So x is 1/2. And now that I know x is 1/2, I can plug it in. So the side across from 60 is 1/2 square root of 3. Now, just like the textbooks, just to clean it up, instead of writing it like this, they're going to go ahead and multiply it and write it like this. Square root of 3 over 2. But it's the same thing. But sometimes the fractions are what gets us down. Does everybody see how those two are the same? All right, so let's label. The side across from 30 is 1/2. And the side across from 60 is square root of 3 over 2. All right, and then let's label our reference angles. So how far are we away from horizontal? 30, right? Aren't we 30? This angle's 30. So I'm going to make 3 other 30-degree angles. Okay? And so if we're 30 short of 180, then what's this degree? 150. Okay, and if we're 30 more than 180, this is 210. And if we're 30 short of 360, this is 330. Are we all okay with that? Okay. All right, now I can list the, what's the x coordinate for 30? How far over did I go? Square root of 3 over 2, right. And how far up did I go? 1/2. Does everybody see why that's true? See, that distance across is the same. It's 1/2 here, so it must be 1/2 here, right? Okay? All right, so this one is also 1/2, the distance, and this is also the distance of square root of 3 over 2. Okay? But this one is going that way, so it's negative. So my ordered pair is going to be negative square root of 3 over 2, and then positive 1/2 or negative 1/2? Positive. Okay? Figure out the other two for me. Are we done or confused? No, the other two ordered pairs. Yeah. Yes. Yes. Right. Be really careful with the negative signs. So what's this one? Right. Negative radical 3 over 2, negative 1/2. And then positive square root of 3 over 2, negative 1/2. Okay? All right. Now you guys, this one should be, it should follow the same rules, right? What's the hypotenuse? 1, right? Because it's the distance away. It's 1 unit in the unit circle. So this is still 2x. This is still x. This is still x radical 3. And we, from up there, we know that that x is 1/2. So this is going to be 1/2, and this is going to be square root of 3 over 2, right? It's just that we are tipping the angle, or the triangle, up face top way, so that it hits the 60 degree instead of the 30. So see if you can find the ordered pair for this angle, find this angle, and this angle, and then find their ordered pairs. Except I don't want you to just copy them down, but I want you to like recreate it. Just make sure you could, because on Tuesday we're going to have a test where I just hand you one of those and you have to do it from scratch. Quiz. Okay, what are the other angles that we're finding out? What's this one? 120, right? Because it's 60 degrees away from 180. What's this one? 180 plus 60, 240. And this one? 300. Good. Okay, so what's the ordered pair? Shoot, I should have